Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Yesterday, I almost got into a road rage situation with somebody texting and driving. I had looked to my left. We were at a red light. I looked to my left, and this girl was driving alone, and she was texting and driving, and I gave her a dislike finger, and she was so upset, and she was explaining. I couldn't hear her, but it sounded like she was explaining that she had a very important phone call of some sort, and when the light turned green, she swerved like well ahead of everybody else, so that she could text and drive without me commenting on it. And there's a reason I really despise texting and driving. It's the demographics of who does it. I've never seen anybody driving a family of four or driving with their kids and texting and driving. It's usually the people who are alone and most likely single and probably even solo sexual. And it puts a bad image to the whole demographics as a whole. And so I really despise it. I've never seen anybody text drive with the kids in the car, right, or even a partner in the car, and so it just puts a bad image. When I was a kid, it used to be drinking and driving. We had a lot of PSAs about the dangers of drinking and driving. We don't anymore. Now it's been replaced with texting and driving. But I think at the time, drinking and driving affected a lot of people, not just people who are single, right? People would drink and drive with other people. Sometimes they had kids in the car as well, and it affected everybody equally. I had some misconceptions about drinking and driving, though. I was in first grade at the time, and when I would hear on the radio or on the TV, "Don't drink and drive," I thought it meant to not drink any beverage, whether or not it contained alcohol, while sitting in the driver's seat driving, because it was a distraction. That's what I thought it meant. And one day, I was riding the school bus when the school bus driver was drinking a soda, and I shouted at him, "Hey, don't drink and drive." And the bus driver explained to me what drinking and driving actually meant, and we had a good laugh. But I didn't understand. He said that it meant drinking alcohol. I had no idea what alcohol is, and he explained that it's a really bad tasting drink that older people sometimes like to drink, and so I laughed with him. And I had no idea what I thought he was joking about that. Why would anybody drink something that tastes really bad? That's what he explained it was. And so, but I had a misconception. I also had another misconception. I thought because we learned about later on in school, this was when I was in third grade, we learned about the dangers of alcohol. We learned about the dangers of smoking and of other substances. And so in my mind, I thought cigarettes and alcohol were like interchangeable with each other. They had the same effect. And so I thought if you shouldn't drink and drive, you also shouldn't smoke and drive. At the time, smoking was pretty common in restaurants. Most restaurants would have a smoking section as well. We lived in Pittsburgh, and one of our favorite restaurants was the King's Family Restaurant. We would go in there, and there would be a smoking section with full of people smoking. And then it occurred to me these people have to then drive home. I thought that a lot of people just ignored the laws about the dangers of driving while under the influence of cigarettes. That's what I thought. I was so badly confused about that. And then we would be stopped at a red light, and I would see somebody in front of us smoking while driving. And it confused me to no end what it meant. But even that, I still think that's pretty dangerous to smoke while driving behind the wheel. Actually, I'm guilty myself. When I was 16 years old, I quit drinking soda and I started drinking other beverages. And one of my favorite, this was many years before it was popular, I started drinking non alcoholic beer. Around the same time, I was learning how to drive. And one day, while my dad was teaching me how to drive, I cracked open a non alcoholic beer and drank it without even thinking about it. And then it occurred to me what I was doing. And it was just so funny. And I opened the window to wave the beer at other drivers. Hey, I'm drinking and driving. This was long before non alcoholic beer was popular, and anybody would assume that it would be a non alcoholic beer. My dad was so upset about that. Uh, he thought I wasn't taking him seriously about the driving. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.